Most MPs have voted in favor of calling for a public inquiry into foreign election interference after allegations of China meddling in Canadian elections and other affairs. But what do some of these allegations mean? And what is next for the federal government? So joining us live now to break it all down is City News national reporter Xiaoli Li. Good morning, Xiao. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Well, we'll start off with the allegations. It's really important to note right off the bat, City News has not independently verified these allegations, although they have been reported and they have caused a firestorm at Parliament and beyond, really. So to start off, just a general breakdown of what some of these allegations are claiming when it comes to Chinese interference in elections and beyond.
Yeah, in many ways, we here at many of the news outlets here in Ottawa are in the same boat people watching at home are. We're following the reports, we're following the committee investigations. It sort of kicked off in November of last year when we got this report from Global News alleging that the Prime Minister and some ministers had received a series of briefings and memos in the early months of 2022 alleging that there was this electoral interference network that was active during the 2019 election. It's alleged that there were 11 candidates in that network, and it's also alleged, it was alleged later that month, that there was around $250,000 that left the Chinese consulate, went to some intermediaries that then went presumably to some of these candidates. Now, of course, any of the people who have been named in this have been have denied the allegations, and of course, you're seeing Don Valley North MP Han Dong right now. Earlier this year, he was the first person that was alleged to be a member of that network of 11 candidates. He's of course denied the allegations, and then of course last week we got further allegations that he was not only a witting member of that network, but that he had been in contact with a Chinese consul general in Toronto, and that he is alleged to have advised them not to release Michael Kovrig and Michael Spavor early. Those were the two Canadians, of course, everyone remembers, who were detained in the People's Republic of China for well over 1,000 days, widely perceived as retaliation for the Meng Wanzhou arrest. Dong, after these allegations came out, he resigned from the Liberal caucus while still denying wrongdoing, saying that he would clear his name. And then he later announced that he intended to sue Global News. We're not sure if that's actually going to go anywhere or if he's just blowing smoke at this point. But I've reached out to the RCMP to ask if, in the light of these new allegations, they're investigating MP Dong, but they haven't gotten back to me on that one yet.
Okay, so in light of the fact that we don't know whether or not the RCMP is investigating just yet, what we do know is that the Prime Minister has appointed the special rapporteur. That was a couple of weeks ago now. And wondering what that then indicates. Does it indicate that Parliament is taking this seriously, and what kind of information could we potentially get from David Johnston once that's done?
It suggests to me the appointment of a special rapporteur that they understand that no matter who they appoint, who's too closely tied to the Liberal Party, is going to be perceived as tainted, is going to be perceived as too biased to be able to deliver any kind of real recommendations or real report out of it. That's why they selected David Johnston, who was, of course, appointed Governor General under Stephen Harper. So they, hoped that this would be somebody that all parties could agree on. Of course, the Conservatives have immediately pointed out, hey, this guy has been a member of the Trudeau Foundation, which itself is alleged to have received money from the People's Republic of China or from agents acting on behalf of the People's Republic of China. Johnston has a pretty wide mandate at this point, essentially able to recommend whatever he thinks is necessary to get to the bottom of this, and he has until the end of May to deliver some recommendations. And that includes whether or not he thinks there ought to be a public inquiry. And one of the things that's been coming up again and again is like, what are we actually going to learn from a public inquiry? Because so we know the most recent Han Dong allegations, they came out of CSIS wiretaps. We're not sure if that's wiretaps of the Chinese consulate in Toronto or the MP's office or cell phone, over on that side. So how much of what our security services do can be discussed publicly or even reported publicly? And that's really the crux of the problem. That's why the Prime Minister and some members of the Liberal Party have said, really the place for this is NSICOP, that National Security Committee of parliamentarians that does have top secret clearance and can view these materials. But of course, they're bound by the Secrets Act as well. They're not able to just get up and talk willy-nilly about, so here's what our spies found out,
Right. So the public, in the end, may not get much more information than we have at this point. And again, these are just allegations at this point, but it may not be something that's going to be wrapped up and presented to the public as another inquiry or some other investigation would.
It's honestly very difficult to tell because we're totally in uncharted waters here. I can't remember in recent memory any time that sitting MPs have had allegations as serious. If MP Dong did advise the Chinese consul general not to release the two Michaels too early or prematurely or whatever the phrasing that was used in that global news report was, if that is the case, he'll have acted against Canadian interests. That is a serious crime, potentially rising to the level of treason, but I don't like using those words because I'm sure people have noted these kind of allegations can eviscerate somebody's career without anything ever being proven. And it is important we get to the bottom of this, but it's very difficult to see where it's going to go because, as I said, this is all new ground.
Yeah, and something that we'll be watching unfold. Xiao Lili, thank you so much for joining us here this morning live from Ottawa. Really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me, Tammy.